What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another edition of Card of the Day. Each episode, we will single out and highlight an individual Yu-Gi-Oh card, talk about its history, its attributes, and whatever cool factoids about it there might be. And I've picked a very interesting and controversial and polarizing card for this installment of the series because this is a card that for almost a decade now, ever since it came out, and even to this very day, like as recently as this week, is still a very prominent discussion and subject of debate. Of course, we're talking about Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring is a level 3 fire zombie tuner effect monster, and its effect reads as follows. Get the camera to focus. When a card or effect is activated that includes any of these effects, quick effect, you can discard this card from your hand and negate that effect. If your opponent adds a card from the deck to their hand, special summons from the deck, or sends a card from the deck to the graveyard. However, you can only use this effect of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring once per turn. So this card was first printed in Maximum Crisis in 2017. And this card has turned into one of the most well-known, recognizable, most hated, most divisive, most controversial, most polarizing Yu-Gi-Oh cards of all time, in addition to being one of the absolute most powerful, most broken, most universal, most essential Yu-Gi-Oh cards. And so the fact that Ash Blossom can negate all of these different card effects, whether it's special summoning from the deck or sending a card to the graveyard, which of course in many cases, in just about all cases, are plays and effects that are essential to advancing your gameplay and board setup and things of that nature. The fact that Ash Blossom can negate those things can prove to be quite devastating. Like if you're staring down the barrel of it. And so suffice to say, I don't come from a competitive background as far as Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG and the meta and stuff like that. I was a fan of the anime and collected the cards and played with them, the way a child does. So I wasn't keyed in to anything related to the meta or the competitive scene, at least not until I began playing Master Duel. And then I learned of the card's existence, let alone how powerful and destructive and divisive it is. So suffice to say, the first several times I got hit with Ash Blossom, of course I was pissed off because I was trying to go for whatever plays I was trying to do and get set up my board and all that, and it was just stopping me in my tracks. So of course I was pissed off the first time I encountered it. But now, a few years later, of course I run 3 copies. Like whatever deck I'm running, I have 3 copies of Ash Blossom. And whether it's in real life TCG or Master Duel, I have 3 copies of Ash Blossom. And so it's a subject of debate. The fact that it is so generic, so powerful, so ubiquitous, it is a subject of debate as to whether or not it should be banned. As far as I know, because I didn't do like the absolute maximum brushing up and homework when I decided to turn on my camera. But as far as I know, Ash Blossom has never spent 1 second on the forbidden or limited list. Never been banned, never been limited. I don't even think it's ever even been semi-limited. Whereas other cards like Max C, other very powerful cards that have been introduced in the game in recent years, have seen time on the banned list. And it's interesting because there have been cards and whole archetypes that have been introduced in recent years, whether it's Yubel and Kashtira. Those are 2 that I fucking hate. Like when those were first introduced in Master Duel and I ran into them, it pissed me off with all the zone locking and all the crazy combos. I hate Kashtira and I hate Yubel. But whether it's Kashtira, Yubel, Sky Strikers was, I'm talking in the real life TCG, that was a little bit before, or recent ones like Malice or Ryziel. Whenever a new archetype comes in and immediately dominates the meta, the very next ban list reflects that. Those decks get hit almost immediately to help stabilize the meta. But through it all, Ash Blossom has never seen 1 second on the Forbidden or Limited list, and it's a subject of debate because there are a lot of people who think it should be because they think it's degenerate. They think it is degenerate in the same way that Max C is, which Max C is banned. It's not banned in Master Duel for whatever godforsaken reason. Also, and it's funny because there are other cards that are powerful and busted, like Red Eye's Dark Dragoon, which was banned in Master Duel, but now is legal in Master Duel. And the first 10 times I ran into it, because as soon as it was unbanned, everyone started playing it, and it was just the bane of my existence, because I was like this, like, you want to talk about a generic Omni Negate, which also is a huge beat stick in attack points, which is Red Eye's Dark Dragoon. Get that shit out of here. And people are complaining about Ash Blossom. And see, I could understand certainly the frustration and the argument for banning Ash Blossom, but at this point, I think like you need an equalizer. You can reasonably expect your opponent is running 3 copies of Ash Blossom, so you need to run 3 copies as well, just to give yourself a fighting chance. And it's interesting because I've seen it theorized, especially recently, that while initially Ash Blossom was designed to be that equalizer, especially if you're going second, you lose the coin flip before the duel, and you are going second or whatever. But now the way the meta has sort of shifted, now it's sort of inadvertently benefiting going first players more, especially if you're running Charmy decks or whatever. And granted, there are cards like Called by the Grave or Crossout Designator that can get over Ash Blossom and negate it, and be an equalizer to that in that regard. But it's funny how a card that I guess was initially intended to help players that would otherwise be at a disadvantage, now it's sort of adding advantage to players who already had it by going first. And so I guess now at this point in 2026, almost a decade post-release, that is sort of the main argument for banning Ash Blossom. But then conversely, there's the counter argument to that, which is it only negates one effect, and it's once per turn. And again, it's funny. It seems like there is quite a bit of parity as far as the opinions on this card, because I've talked to other Yu-Gi-Oh players, and some of them have said to me, well, if your deck can't get around Ash Blossom, then you're not very good, or your deck isn't good if it can be stopped by one Ash Blossom. And I guess I could agree to the extent that if you get ashed one time, you should be able to withstand that. But again, that's because you can reasonably expect your opponent to be running 3. But again, all the more reason why you need to be running 3. You need that equalizer. But yeah, again, I think there are way more quote unquote degenerate and broken cards in the game that are not limited, that are not banned, that I think should be. I wouldn't mind seeing Called by the Grave get banned, and people come for my head when I say that. But yeah, I think Ash Blossom should stay at 3. Again, she's her with her big obnoxious forehead. She is frustrating, but and this is just me. But at this point, when I get ashed, I don't even mind, because them's just the breaks. You know what I mean? Oops. Hit my knee off my table. But yeah, that is basically where I'm at as far as whether or not I think Ash Blossom should be banned. I'm very curious, because now this was a video in this series that, more than any other card, I think has the potential to spark heated and passionate, not heated, but passionate conversation. So again, I'm very curious what you guys think, because I know there is a decidedly wide spectrum of opinion on this card, as to why it should be banned or why it shouldn't be. Again, I'm personally in the camp that it shouldn't be. I could understand if it was. I certainly could understand if it was limited. But it's generic, which helps, which attributes to why it's so powerful. This card can negate literally several thousand Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Several thousand, which is crazy to think about. But again, there's plenty. There are other generic Omni negates that maybe aren't as ubiquitous as far as name recognition or play rate. Like the amount of times that they get played. But I think there are other cards that are just as, if not more, more degenerate in the regard that Ash Blossom is, or some people consider it to be. I don't know. I'm just going to plant my flag in the camp of, I don't think Ash Blossom should be banned. But let me know what you guys think. I'll be happy to hear in the comments below. Let me know what you think about it. Let me know what your favorite Yu-Gi-Oh card is. And in the case of this conversation, what your personal most hated one is. If it's Ash Blossom, if it's another card like Maxi or something like that. Just any input that on anything Yu-Gi-Oh related that you have to offer in the comments. I'd be happy to hear it and chat with you guys. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up. Comment, subscribe, tap the notification bell, and all that good stuff. And we will see you back here tomorrow. It's your move.